So hi, my scholars. In today's video, shall be looking at the Erb'S paralysis. So the Erb'S paralysis is one of those clinical correlates are pointed out in the video on brachial plexus. So let's see into that. All right. So let us have a definition, an introduction. So what is Erb'S paralysis? Erb'S paralysis is an upper trunk nerve injury. So it's an upper trunk nerve injury. And it occurs at a site. And that site where it occurs is known as the Erb's point. So it occurs at this site called the Erb's point. And at the Erb's point, there is a total of 6 nerves at the Erb's point. There's a total of 6 nerves. So what are the 6 nerves we're going to find at the Erb's point? So this nerve right here is the C5 nerve. This is the C6 nerve, okay? That gives us 2. So we also have the suprascapular nerve. So that gives us the 3rd nerve. And this 4th nerve is the nerve to subclavius. And the 5th nerve is the division of the upper trunk into anterior and posterior division. So it's going to be the anterior division of the upper trunk and the posterior division of the upper trunk. So these are the 6 nerves. This becomes number 1, number 2, number 3, the suprascapular nerve, number 4, nerve to subclavius, number 5, anterior division of the upper trunk, number 6, posterior division of the upper trunk. All right. So what are the various causes of Erb'S paralysis? What are the various causes? Well, the Erb'S paralysis was first described by Wilhelm Erb's. And that is why it is called the Erb'S paralysis. There are so many causes of Erb'S paralysis. We'll be looking at the major 2 causes of Erb'S paralysis. So the simple explanation is when there is an increase in the angle between the head, okay, and the shoulder, that is what causes Erb'S paralysis. So the cause is an increase in the angle between the head and shoulder. So that is the major cause of Erb'S paralysis. Increase in the angle between the head and the shoulder. So if the angle between the head and the shoulder is increased for any reason, it predisposes to an upper trunk nerve injury known as the Erb'S paralysis. So if you look at this diagram here, it could be due to traction during childbirth. Traction during childbirth. And that is why whoever is attending to the parturient during labor must have very good skills, because traction, okay, during childbirth can lead to Erb'S paralysis. All right, this is because pulling out of the head, maybe when there is shoulder dystocia. In shoulder dystocia, it is very difficult for the shoulders to be delivered and the other parts of the body of the baby. So, and this unskilled birth attendant pulls the head of the baby, and that's going to increase the angle between the head and the shoulder, okay? And once that angle is stretched, there's pressure on the upper trunk of the brachial plexus, because the part of the brachial plexus that lies above the clavicle will become stretched, and the upper trunk is the most susceptible, and that will lead to injury. That injury will cause Erb'S paralysis because the Erb's point is affected, and I've showed you those nerves right here. So the second cause of Erb's paralysis is when there is a fall from a height, as we can see in this case. So there's a fall from a height, okay? A fall from a height, not just that, and landing on the shoulder, and landing with the shoulder, and landing with the shoulder. So when there is a fall from a height and the individual lands with the shoulder, there's every tendency that the angle between the head, so this is the head of this individual, and the shoulder is increased. So this angle right here is increased in this situation. So it could stretch the upper trunk, cause injury to the upper trunk, and that will result to Erb's paralysis. So remember traction during childbirth, and remember fall from a height and landing with the shoulder. A typical example of where this occurs is when there's a fall from a horse. So like a fall from a horse's back. It's another major cause of Erb's paralysis. So in Erb's paralysis, we're able to explain that it's an upper trunk nerve injury and it occurs at a site known as the Erb's point. And what are the various ways this could occur? Traction during childbirth, fall from a height, and landing with the shoulder. All these will result to what? Increase in the angle between the head and the shoulder. This is the major mechanism through which it happens. Okay, so what are the nerve roots affected in Erb's paralysis? The nerve roots affected are the C5 and the C6 nerve roots, because it's an injury that occurs at the upper trunk. It is a lesion of the upper trunk. So these are the nerve roots affected. What about the muscles affected? Okay, so remember those muscles that are innervated by the nerves with the C6 and C5 nerve roots. So think about of your lateral cord or brachial plexus. So those nerves that go off the lateral cord are having C5 and C6 nerve roots. And they're going to innervate the muscles of the arm, isn't it? So we're going to have first the biceps brachii. Biceps brachii. Okay, so we also have the coracobrachialis. Coracobrachialis. Okay. Another nerve that will be affected is the brachialis. Partly supraspinatus and infraspinatus, because the suprascapular nerve goes at this point. So the supraspinatus. The infraspinatus muscle. Okay, so and your radial nerve has all the nerve roots of the brachial plexus from C5 to C8 and the T1. Okay, so the radial nerve that innervate the triceps. So the triceps will be partly affected. But also to add to this list, it's your teres minor muscle. It's also going to be affected. So these are the muscles, okay, that are affected in Erb's paralysis. And once these muscles are affected, they will lose their function. Okay, loss of function of these muscles will cause some deformities. There will be a change in the posture. There will be a change in the position of the upper limb. And this is to tell you the relevance of muscles in performing various actions or movements at different joints. Okay, once this innervation is lost, these muscles are not able to receive the necessary excitation for contraction. So they tend to start atrophying because of disuse. And the opposing muscle, known as the antagonist, takes control of the activity. So it becomes exaggerated, and there's going to be abnormality in the position of the upper limb. Let's see how that manifests. It is called a deformity. Okay. So if you see this man right here, the clinical feature of Erb's paralysis. So for the deformity, the arm hangs by the side. So the arm hangs by the side. and then the arm is adducted. The arm adducted and medially rotated. Arm is medially rotated. So it is medially rotated because the lateral rotators, the nerves supplying the lateral rotators are affected. So it is medially rotated. So it hangs by the side, okay? It is adducted and medially rotated. That is for the arm. What happens at the forearm? The forearm is extended and pronated. So the forearm is pronated. All right. So how do you master the disability? Disability refers to the various loss of movement due to the above. And how does that happen? It's very easy. So first, so if the arm hangs by the side and is adducted, which movement is lost? Abduction. So there's loss of abduction of the arm. So number two, the arm is medially rotated. So there's loss of lateral rotation. So loss of lateral rotation of the arm. Okay. So the forearm is extended. So there's loss of flexion of the forearm. So get that, right? So there's loss of flexion of forearm. And then the forearm is pronated. So there's loss of supination. Loss of supination of the forearm. These are the various disabilities that arise from Erb'S paralysis. What is the simplest way for you to master the sequence of events in order to be able to write very well in your theory exams? This is how to go about it. So I've developed a mnemonic. So that mnemonic is your introduction. After your introduction, so can nerve master deformity and disability. So while your introduction is the definition, your so is the sites of lesion, which is the F point. Your can is the cause, okay, traction during childbirth and fall from a height and landing with the shoulder. So nerve is the nerve roots involved. The nerve roots affected. So master is the muscles. What are the muscles affected? The deformity and the disability. So med scholars will be able to exhaust in details what Erb'S paralysis is all about. So let's have a brief look at Krumke's paralysis in the next video. See you next time.